For me, mobile phones and social media have been great. I love having all of the world's information in my pocket, entertainment on demand, instant connections to anyone. But there is also a dark side. Too much wasted time browsing when I could be doing more meaningful things. Distractions when I should be working or present with friends and family. FOMO from looking at the great things that other people seem to be doing, especially during lockdown. And then self-esteem going up or down depending on the number of likes that I get. When it's been at its worst, I've been way more hooked to my phone than I really want to be, eating with it, exercising with it, and even sleeping with it. And then after reading books like Digital Minimalism and watching movies like The Social Dilemma, it was like an aha moment for me. I had never realized that this could really be that much of a problem, but now I was acutely aware that it was. What I've always wanted is to achieve that magical balance, where I can get all the benefits of my phone without all of the drawbacks, where I can be in control versus being controlled. And so I've been on quite the journey over the past couple of years, experimenting with different tips and strategies in search of that balance. After implementing each new thing, it has been really amazing to see the positive impact that some of these things have had on the level of distraction I feel and also the level of anxiety. And while I'm still a ways away from that complete nirvana, I am at the point where I now feel much more balanced in my phone use than I ever have before. So in this video, I want to share 10 things that I found most useful in this journey. And what I like about all of these things is that none involve completely throwing your phone away or deleting all of your apps. I think this is really important because a lot of people go straight to these extremes and miss out on all of the kind of smaller changes that they could do that will provide plenty of benefit with not as much drawback. With that, let's dive right in. Tip 1, turn off low value notifications. If you're like me a few years ago, your phone or watch would vibrate for everything, no matter how small. For instance, I would be in a work meeting and my Apple Watch would vibrate with some news alert that I didn't even care about. And seconds later, I would miss whatever the boss was saying and have to kind of backtrack and try to figure out what was going on in the meeting. And so I have found that you can turn off notifications for the vast majority of your apps. And the best thing is that there is little to no drawback. But the benefit is less distraction, fewer chances that your phone is going to draw you in and take you into this 30-minute spiral that you didn't even plan on. For me, this meant turning off notifications for everything except for the things that I cared most about, such as Instagram, iMessage, and WhatsApp. Everything else gets turned off: news alerts, likes, friend requests, all of that gets turned off. I'll show you how to do this on your iPhone. Sorry to the Android users out there, but I'm sure it's as easy as what I'm about to go through. On iPhone, you simply go to settings and go to notifications. Here, you can control which types of apps send you what type of notification, whether it's a notification that appears on your lock screen, on the notification center, or as a banner coming down from the top of your screen. And you can also set whether you want it to trigger a vibration or a sound or a badge icon, which I will cover in the next tip. So as you can see, I have notifications turned off for almost every app. There's just a couple, such as Instagram and WhatsApp, that I still allow to come through. Now, this one change made a huge difference in how distracted I was, but it didn't stop there. Tip 2, turn off badge icons. This is related to tip 1 on notifications, but I made it a separate one because badge icons are distracting in an entirely different way. Badges are those little red dots in the top right of your app icons. They tell you things like how many messages you need to respond to. The problem is that they can cause anxiety and distraction because it creates an open loop of, man, I need to go in that app and I need to do something immediately. And so they can draw you back into the app, kind of starting the cycle of distraction all over again. So because of this, I've chosen to turn off badge icons for almost every app, except for, once again, the most critical apps such as iMessage, where I really want to make sure that I respond to all those messages. This way, my phone screen not only causes less distraction and anxiety, but because I have fewer badges, I'm able to focus on the badges that actually do matter and make sure that I don't miss any really important messages. Much better than the alternative, which would be a screen full of red, panic-inducing dots, mostly alerting me to things that I don't even care about in the first place. To turn off badges, you go to the same section that we went to for notifications, and for each app, there is an option to turn off badge icons. As simple as that. Tip 3, move distracting apps to another screen or folder. This one is simple, but has also helped me a lot. All you do is you take some of those apps that are really distracting, such as Facebook and Instagram, and you simply move them to another folder, preferably on another screen. Yes, they're still on your phone, you can still get to them, but it provides just a little bit of a barrier, a little bit of friction that just reduces the chances that you'll actually use them. Tip 4, turn off Raise to Wake. Raise to Wake is a feature that turns your phone screen on when you touch it, even if it's a really slight touch. Why is this a problem? Well, for any notifications that you still do have turned on after the last step, it means that you will see those notifications pop up on your phone, and this will happen even if you really didn't mean to. And similar to what I was saying about the badge icons, once you've seen a notification or message on your phone screen, it's really hard not to get sucked back into your phone and address it right there. So it's really much better to reduce the number of times that these accidents happen. When you turn off Raise to Wake, it makes it so that you actually have to deliberately either touch the screen or touch the side button in order to turn your phone screen on. It causes a little bit of friction, which might be annoying at first, but really goes a long way into making sure that you're using your phone intentionally. To turn off Raise to Wake, simply go to Settings, then Display and Brightness, and then turn off Raise to Wake. Tip 5, turn on Do Not Disturb. Earlier, we turned off notifications for all but the most important apps, and some of those apps included things like, for me, iMessage. For most people, for these apps such as iMessage, it'll mean that when you get a text, you'll not only get a notification on your screen, but your phone will also vibrate or make a sound. Even worse if you have the Apple Watch like I do, because your Apple Watch will also vibrate even if you don't have your phone near you. Now this can be incredibly distracting, especially if you are trying to be present for something like work. What would be ideal is to have this notification still come to your screen so that when you go and intentionally check your phone, you'll see the notification, you'll see that you need to answer something, but to have it so that this won't interrupt you in the middle of another task with a sound or vibration. Luckily, we have the Do Not Disturb feature, which does exactly that. When you have Do Not Disturb turned on, all of your notifications will still show up on your phone, but they will not trigger a sound or a vibration. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can use this. You can either turn it on just for certain periods of time of the day when you really just don't want to be distracted, you want to work, whatever it might be. This is where I started and I found it very helpful. And I think actually most people use it like this in this sort of selective manner throughout the day. But then one day I decided to go even farther and I started to turn on Do Not Disturb for like 99% of the day, except for those times when I was really expecting a particular message, such as from a friend or from a delivery notification from DoorDash or something like that. At first, I was afraid that this was gonna be too far for me, that I would miss a bunch of important messages, or that I might come off as too non-responsive to my friends. But after now having this on by default for like a year, I've noticed that none of that bad stuff has really happened. Instead, my phone has just become a ton less distracting without really any of the drawbacks. There are a few ways to turn on Do Not Disturb. The first and easiest way is to open your control center by swiping down from the top and then hitting the moon icon. If you press and hold the moon icon, you'll also see a few options for how long to leave Do Not Disturb on. But what if you want to schedule Do Not Disturb to turn on during certain parts of the day, or to just have it on by default like I do? For this, all you have to do is go to Settings and then go to Do Not Disturb, where you'll see all of these options. Now, what if there are certain people where you want them to still be able to contact you and trigger a sound or vibration, even if you have Do Not Disturb turned on? Well, luckily on iPhone, there's a feature called Emergency Bypass, which allows you to do just that. If you turn on Emergency Bypass for a certain contact, even when you're on Do Not Disturb, if they send you a text or give you a phone call, your phone will still ring or vibrate. And so basically it'll be like before, you would not miss a call or text from them. To turn on Emergency Bypass for a certain contact, go to their contact information and then tap Edit. To turn on Emergency Bypass for calls, tap Ringtone and then tap the Emergency Bypass switch. Then tap Done and Done. And now whenever the contact calls you, even if you have Do Not Disturb turned on, their call will still come through. You'll still get a ring or a vibrate. In order to turn on Emergency Bypass for text, tap Text Tone and then tap the Emergency Bypass switch. Then tap Done, and then you're done. And then like for the phone calls, whenever this contact sends you a text, it will still trigger a vibration or a sound, even if you have Do Not Disturb turned on. And then all you have to do is rinse and repeat for any other contacts that you want to let come through your anti-distraction wall. For me, the only people that I have Emergency Bypass turned on for are my mom and my boss. Shows you my priorities in life. Tip 6, leave your phone in the other room. This one is simple, but it has also been really helpful for me. Throughout the day, you simply try not to have your phone in the same room as you are. For me, this means, for instance, during the workday, with work from home, I'm working at my desk, but I usually have my phone in the other room. Or when I leave the apartment to run a quick errand or get some fresh air, I usually leave my phone at home. To be honest, I usually go a step farther and I leave my phone in the bedroom closet in my bedroom. A little weird, I know, but that way, I really just don't see my phone unless I really want to. And I have found that removing that visual cue really limits the temptation for me to use my phone. Again, seems simple, but this has also been one of the more impactful strategies for me. It's to the point where I get home and I take my phone to my bedroom and I put it in my closet, and only after that point do I feel like, okay, I can finally relax. Tip 7, use other, less distracting devices. So now you have your phone in the other room during most of the day. The more that you can do on other devices that are less distracting, such as, for me, this is my iPad and my Apple Watch, the better. It just reduces the chances that you're gonna go into the other room and grab your phone to do something. For instance, if I'm at home and listening to podcasts, previously before all this, I would use my phone to control those. But now if I simply just control it from my Apple Watch, it means that I don't need to go get my phone, reducing distraction. Or I used to cast TV shows from my phone to my TV. Watching excessive TV is also not a great habit, but what's even worse is watching TV and being distracted by your phone at the same time. So instead, I now use my iPad to control my TV. And since I don't really use Instagram or Facebook on my iPad, again, just reduces the chances that I'm gonna be distracted by my phone or those apps. Tip 8, use apps fewer times per day. Despite adopting all of those previous tips, I would still default to scrolling through social media when I had a few minutes of downtime, like when I'm just bored or when I'm resting during a workout. This isn't the end of the world, but it's still much better to compress your social media usage to fewer times during the day. Even if you spend basically the same number of total minutes as you would have normally, it's better to have those minutes concentrated into one area versus spread throughout the entire day where they can just cause distraction, anxiety all the time. So if you simply just compress to one time of the day, you don't miss anything. You still see all of the posts that you would have otherwise, but there is a huge positive benefit to your psyche. These days, I'm pretty good at combining all of my usage of apps like Facebook and Instagram to one time during the day. For me, that's just during the morning. The only exception is if I receive a direct message from a friend on something like Instagram, I'll still respond to it like anyone normally would, but I will usually try not to scroll through the news feed. For extra benefit, I collapse all of my news consumption also to the same time during the morning, so I just get it out of the way all at once and then have the rest of the day to concentrate on other things. But this is still hard to do. It requires some willpower to resist the urge throughout the day at first. So if you think you'll have trouble forming this new habit, you can check out my other video on habits, which should appear somewhere on the screen. Tip 9, curate who you follow. This is one I've only recently implemented in the last few months. The basic notion is that the fewer people you follow, the less time it takes you to scroll through your social media feeds, meaning less distraction and time wasted overall. For Instagram in particular, I'd gotten to the point where a lot of the people that I was following was not actually friends or family that I knew personally, but random meme accounts, fitness people, etc. People that I just didn't really care about. But since I was still following these accounts, they were still taking up room in my newsfeed, taking up time. I would just scroll through them, didn't really care about them, but still would just take a lot of time to go through. So the fix here is simple. Simply go through your accounts and unfollow or mute any of the ones that you don't want to see in your newsfeed anymore. I in particular like the option to mute certain accounts because then you'll still be following them, you can still go access them, but they just won't show up in your newsfeed or in your stories. For instance, on Instagram, all you need to do is go to that account's profile, tap on the word following, and then tap mute, and then you'll see an option to mute their posts or their stories or both. Tip 10, stop using some apps completely. Okay, this is my final tip, but it's also, I think, one of the best and also the simplest, but it can also be a little bit of a harder one. The basic notion is that if there are apps that you just kind of use mindlessly, but that you don't really care about, you should just really stop using those completely. At first, I didn't really see merit in this idea. I didn't think that I had any apps in my life that kind of fit into this bucket. But then I realized that certain apps like Twitter and Reddit, I would mindlessly scroll them every day, but I would never feel good after I looked at them. I would never get anything out of them. It's not like they were even that funny or entertaining, but they were just taking up time and distracting me. So I simply stopped using them on a regular basis. That was months ago, and in that time since then, I have drastically reduced my time using these apps. Before, it was multiple times a day. Now it's just 1 or 2 times a month, which is great. Conclusion. Okay, that's what I wanted to say during this video. So to summarize, You're gonna turn off all those notifications that you don't care about. You're gonna turn off those nasty badge icons. You're gonna move those time-sucking apps to another folder on another screen. You're gonna turn off Race to Wake. You're gonna turn on Do Not Disturb. You're gonna leave your phone in the other room or in the closet like I do. You're gonna use other devices that are less distracting, such as your iPad or your Apple Watch. You're gonna reduce your use of those time-sucking apps to just 1 time a day. You're gonna curate who you follow. And then there are certain time-sucking apps that you don't care about that you're just gonna stop using completely. I hope that this video will help you turn your phone into something that improves your life without being as distracting, and that you can kind of pick how far you wanna go through this journey, pick which of these tips that you wanna implement, and kind of build your own path. If you liked this video, found something useful in it, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified of new videos on this channel immediately, hit the bell icon, which will trigger a notification. However, make sure that you adopt some of the tips that I talked about earlier in this video so that this notification will not distract you, cause a ring or a vibration or anything like that. Finally, I'd love to hear what you think about this video. If you found other tips and strategies in your life that you have used to limit phone distraction. So if you have anything to say, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. That'll do it for this video. Peace.